Hello all, welcome back. So in this one, we're going to actually quickly update these methods and some of the XPaths or IDs that we used previously. And we will utilize all the methods that we created here for switching to the frame and finding if the element is enabled and then fix our solution. So let me just quickly go to the web page and I'm going to do it for one element live here. So let's do it for card number. And let me actually see what we can do. So this guy has an area label called credit or debit card number. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this input at the rate area dash label, right? And this guy should be not outside, inside credit or debit card number, and resolve the typos. So this is the XPath and it finds only one matching node. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come here and in the CC number field, instead of CC number, I'm going to update the XPath. And then for these things, what we can do here is for expiration date, I think there is a name which is expiration date, which is the same. And then for CVC, let's see what's there. It has a name called CVC. So let's update these pretty quick. So I think these are already there. So what we can do is we can use them instead of ID and still they'll be fine. The next thing that we need to add here is the zip field. So if you see here, there's a new field added called zip postal code and country, which is already selected. So I'm not going to bother about it because we're not actually trying to buy something here, right? So I'm just going to enter something in the zip field and that should be done. So I already have the name for it, which is postal. You guys can look around it. And also XPath for submit enroll button is changed and I have updated it here also. So let me just quickly go it here and show it to you. I'm just gonna open this and maybe let's just search for it. So you guys can see here, this is the div that I'm looking for. And if I expand it, there's the button, but the button doesn't have anything for showing us that it's disabled or enabled. That's why I'm using the div, because div has this attribute, right? And that's what we just talked about in last lecture. So I'm going to use this. So this is all updated now. Now we have to update the methods also. So first we'll go to the enter card number. This is the first one. So I'm going to do self dot switch to frame. And the thing that I'm going to use here is name. And the name here is underscore private stripe frame 4. So this is the iframe that's there. And now the second thing we're going to do here is self dot switch to default content. So we will find the element after switching to the frame, and this should be XPath now, and we will just switch to the default content. Now the same thing here, instead of the ID, I'm using the name for expiration date and the CVV date. And what I'm gonna do here is switch to the frame here also, and switch to default content after typing this, switch to default content after typing this, but we have to update the frame name. So for the expiration date, the frame name is 5, and then for CVV, the frame name is 6, and then we have to create another method called enter zip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly copy this guy and then utilize the format. So enter zip, and this guy should be zip code, and the frame name for zip card is, I think it's 7. So I've already find these things out because I just wanted to save some time. You can always obviously go here and then inspect the element and then find the frame number, which is super easy, right? And we've already discussed those things in the iframe section also. So I'm gonna do zip here, and instead of this guy, I'm gonna do underscore zip and switch to default content. Once this is done, in enter credit card information, after the CVV, what I'm gonna do here is self.enter zip, and this guy should take zip, and there also we need to update the arguments. Once this is done, what we're gonna do here is enroll course is fine, direction is down, this is okay, click on enroll button. Here also we need to pass zip, and I've already updated this method definition here. And verify enroll failed. So there is also one change. Previously we were verifying something else, but now what we are doing is we are verifying that the button is enabled or not. So how does the failed is verified? If the button is disabled, then it means that it's not able to enroll, right? So we're going to check if the button is enabled using the method that we created, the one that I showed you in the last class is enabled and it's available to you. Download the code files, guys, please. That's the main thing you gotta do. Download the code files always. And then we're gonna return the opposite of the result. So is enabled is gonna have the result, and we're gonna return the opposite because we're trying to verifying that it's disabled, right? Now we have this code updated. Everything is updated, looks pretty good, smooth and fine. Now let's go to the test code, because here we need to actually send the zip code. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 1 2 and maybe one more 3 4 5 6, right? So some random 10 digit number 444 and maybe some zip code also, and the zip code will be 1 2 3 4 5. So that's pretty much it. Everything is all said and done. Let me just quickly go ahead and run this code on Firefox only again, and let's see what's going to happen. It's going to log in. It's going to type JavaScript. This is working fine. Clicking on the enroll course button, it's going to go to the next page, scroll down, and it should start typing few stuff, right, which were failing before. Looks like it's taking time, or it's still failing. Let's figure that out. All right, we had a typo. This guy says it failed because Stripe doesn't have E in it. So these are the kind of issues that we always have to be careful, right? Now, if we make these kind of typos, then the frame will not be fine and our code will fail. So good that we did some mistake, because I get a lot of questions about these kind of issues, and we gotta be careful that we do not do any typos. We make sure that the code is clean, because these things may take a lot of time to debug. So it's gonna go to this page, scroll down, and now it is typing the card number. You can see that. Then it's going to type the expiration date, then CVC code, and then the postal code also after this one. And then it's just going to verify if the enroll button is disabled or not. So what else we can do here is we can also click this button, because usually if we don't accept the terms and conditions, this thing anyway doesn't get enabled. So let's quickly go ahead and write the code for this also. So what we're going to do here is after the zip, we're going to add the agree to terms checkbox, and we'll find the locator. Let's open Chrome, and I usually like Chrome to inspect the elements. So this guy, inspect, and there you go. It has an ID called agree to terms checkbox, and just verify that it's in the top. So it's not in the iframe. So the good part is that we don't have to actually use switch to iframe for agree to terms checkbox. Now after the zip, I'm going to create another method called click agree to terms checkbox. And then we're going to say self dot element click, and inside it we're going to give the locator, and the locator is self dot agree to terms checkbox. And because it's using ID only, we don't really have to give the locator type. Now inside enroll course method, after entering the credit card information, we have to call this self.agree to terms checkbox. So we're gonna click this button and then we are good. One thing that I wanted to mention you guys here is that there's this save my card for future purchases. So if at all you want to really verify the positive scenario, like when the button is enabled, then disable this guy, or I would suggest not to use the test account for your practice. Please create your own account on this website and do your own practice. So be careful of saving any of the information with the test account. So the best thing is not to use the test account. Now let's come to the terminal and again try to run this code. Should bring up the Firefox and it's just gonna run it one more time so we can just verify the complete scenario. It's gonna log in, search for the course. Come on. All right, now click on the enroll in course button. Now it should start typing all the stuff: credit card number, expiration date, CVC code, and then postal code. And then it also clicked the checkbox, and it's still, the button is disabled and it should have verified that. So if we go to the terminal, everything looks green, the test is successful, there are no issues, and that's what we wanted to verify. So we kind of complete our solution with all the changes on the website. We verified that we can actually send keys if the iframe is different, what different verifications we can do. Do not always think in one direction. It doesn't have to always be the same thing. The websites may update anytime, the verifications may update, and we have to adapt and update the automation code also. That's about it. Thanks a lot for running this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.